I'll seek you out, flay you alive.
It's Pogo here, and welcome to the next episode of the Teams Miniseries. In this episode, we are going to make the Team Manager, which is going to be responsible for loading in all the teams from the configuration file, saving all the teams back to the configuration file, getting team by name, getting the team by player, and other methods that are related to, retrieving teams, but not actually things that would happen inside of the team class that we have here. So in the first episode, we learned about serialization, and we did this example for setting and getting with this sample team. So we're going to take this code and apply it to actually work with, multiple teams in the Team Manager. So let's go ahead and create this. Team Manager is going to be pretty similar to the Settings Manager in the way that it is structured and the way that it works. It's going to be using the singleton pattern, where you first make one private constructor, which we'll actually probably use. You make a single instance of the class, okay, and then you have one getter. So there can only ever be one instance of this class. The reason why we need to make sure that that's so is because if this is going to contain a list of all of the teams, so if you were to have more than one instance, it would each have a different list of teams, and then there would be continuity errors, and it just wouldn't work. So now we have this singleton pattern set up, and we're going to go ahead and create an array list of team, which we'll call teams. Then in our constructor, we're first going to say teams is equal to new array list team. Then we are going to say if not settings manager dot get instance dot, we're going to write the contains method teams, and I'll just quickly write this here, that the structure is going to be teams, then I guess name, and then this will be all of the data in there, which also means that in the serialization we don't actually want to put the name there. And also for the members, we don't want to do that either. We can actually just write members, and then it'll automatically write it as a list of strings, which just makes it easier. We can just say that, and then make it a new array list of string, and then that can just be map.get for members, and we're just telling it that it is a list of type string. So in this case, we're writing a list of string to the serialization map, and then we can get it back out like that. Oh, sorry. This actually needs to be a cast, so we're going to cast it to list string. And that part is not terribly important, but we do need to do that. And we also need to add string name, because the name is going to be separate from all of the serialized arguments. So we need to do that. So first, we got to write the contains method. So we're going to say, right here, this is easy. It's public boolean contains string path return config.contains path. So all it does is checks if the configuration contains a path. So if it does not contain teams, then we're going to do settings manager.getInstance.create configuration section for teams. So if this is the first time that they're running it and there's no section for teams, then we need to make sure that we create it. Then we're going to say for string team name in settings manager.getInstance.get for teams.get keys false, and this is going to be a configuration section. So basically, we're looping through all of the keys in the section. So if I had teams and then I had name and then I had name1 and data, then it would first run where team name would be data, or the team name would be name, and then the second time team name would be name1. So it's just going to run each time. And the fact that I made it false means that it does not do a deep search. If I made that true, then it would run for name and data and name1 and data again, all those different things, but we only want it to run for the top level keys in this case. So now we can go ahead and say teams, and we can go back to our main method and take a look at this, because we're going to take that and we're basically just going to say teams.add. We're going to add a new team that will take in team name, and then we also want to get teams.team name. So we're adding a new team given the team name and then all of the arguments, the map, or all the parameters for that under teams.team name. So then in that case it would be all the data. So it would be like members, and then that would have like Pogo, and then this would have members, and then let's just say that that's blank. So then it would just get all of those arguments. So that's just going to add all the teams the first time we do it. We can do public void add team, which we'll call team, and then we can say teams dot add team, and then in team we'll just go ahead and quickly write a public void save that will save the team. So whenever we do any setters, so like a public void set name or adding a member or removing it, then we need to make sure that we save that to the configuration file so that we can remember that. And that first part is going to come from here. So we're going to say we're going to set teams.getName. So teams.name to be serialize. So then that'll just go ahead and save everything for here. So if we add the team, then we want to say team.save. So when we instantiate a new team, if we have a method that will instantiate, or a command rather, that will instantiate a new team, we want to add the team to our list of current teams, and then we want to save the team. We can also do a public void remove team. We can say teams.remove team, and then settingsmanager.getInstance.set. Is there a remove method in config? Let me check and see. There might be. No. So I guess we probably just want to set it to null. So we just want to set team.getName to be null. So we'll just do that. Then the important thing is public team get team string name, and we're just going to say for team in teams if team dot get name dot equals name return team and then return null. So what we're doing is we're given a name. So like if I were to give it name, it would go through each of the teams. The first thing it would find is name, and since the team name is equal to the name that I gave it, then it would return that team. Otherwise, if it couldn't find anything, it would just return null. And we can go ahead and copy this and say get team that takes a player, which we'll call player, so that if I give it a player, I can tell what team they're on. So we can say if team dot has member player, then return, and of course we'll we still have a bunch of members, rather a bunch of methods we have to write, like public boolean contains member player member return members dot contains member dot get unique ID dot toString. We're gonna have to save unique IDs in this case, so that's important because if a player decides to change their name, we still want them to be on the team, and if there's an important team, like a staff team, and someone who's not staff takes a name and joins it, then that could also be a problem. So we just want to make sure to use the IDs. Again, we can have, wrapping this up with an add member, player member, members.add, or we'll add member.get unique ID .toString, and of course we want to save after we add a member, and then we can just paste this again and we'll call it remove member, and we're going to call members.remove. So I believe that's it. Let me just make sure. I meant to name that has member. In the main, we want to get rid of that testing thing. And now let's go ahead and test it out with the TeamManager. So TeamManager .get instance, and we'll just move this into a public void setup. So this will be the setup method, and then up here we can have our private TeamManager. Okay, so we have our setup method, which we're going to call first because like we set up the settings manager, we also need to set up the teams manager. So then let's go ahead and say TeamManager.getInstance .add team, new team, sample A. And then we'll go ahead and say, first of all, we'll have it say for TeamManager.getInstance.getTeams, which we're gonna have to write. Then we'll go ahead and print out team.getName. So first we're going to print out all of the names of the teams, just to make sure it works. Then we can just add another team. And really quickly just public team array get teams, return teams.toArray, new team array, teams.size. Just converting the array list into an array. That part is not really important. Let's go ahead and export this and give it a try. Alright, so let me go check out the... This is the wrong one. Okay. So let's go check out the testing server. First I'm going to delete the old Pogo Teams configuration from the first video. And now let's go ahead and start it and see if it'll actually work. Alright, server is starting. And it's done. So as you can see, nothing was printed because obviously there was no configuration. But if we take a look in here now, you'll see we have teams and then the name sample A and then members, and it has, of course, no members. Let's go ahead and reload it, and we get an error. Okay. Alright. So, TeamManager.java. Line 37. Oh, I see. Alright, hang on one second, I just have to take care of this. Two simple little mistakes that I made. The first mistake that I made was when I was getting that teams.team name, it's technically a configuration section, so I had to call this getValues method, and I want to use true. It's sort of like getKeys with false, but we want to do a deep search, so everything under there we want to collect because those are all the important arguments that we need for the team. So basically we want to get the configuration section and then call getValues true on that configuration section. Second minor thing I made was in this originally said this.name is equal to like map.getName.get given string name, and since we're not saving the name to that map anymore. I just meant to set it to be this name here, which I didn't do. But as you can see, if I check out the configuration file, it looks the same. And if I continue to reload, you'll see that it keeps printing out sample A, because it is finding sample A in the configuration file, and it's printing it out successfully. So that's all for this video. Just making a simple team manager to load all the teams and then handle adding, removing, and getting teams given a name or a player that could be in a team. As always, subscribe if you want to see more. Comment with what you want to learn. If you like this video, click the like button, and I will see you guys soon with some more videos. Bye, guys.